Hi there, welcome back to Navigating the Shift. Annabelle and Sarah here. Today we're going to talk about how the stuff that's going on in the world is really signaling to us that the old energy, that cabal-controlled reality is on the way out. And how 2020, like I said in the astrology video, is the year that we are going to see before 2020 and after 2020. This is the change. If you haven't seen that, link below, go check out the astrology video. So there is a lot of stuff going on. Let's start off with the fires, because you're in Australia, obviously.
Okay, well, I'm watching the fires there. Originally, when they started off about 3 weeks ago, they were sort of north of New South Wales, and they all started at once. There were 116 fires that were all lit within 3 days. And of course, immediately the agenda started kicking in with the media. Climate change has caused these things, and immediately I noticed, and stronger the voice came back. No, it's not climate change. Yes, we're in a big drought, but we've had fires for many thousands of years. And because we're in a big drought at the moment, and that is questionable already as to why that is happening, is that where the manipulation. There's also other things involved, like the government selling off rights to water to mining companies, particularly overseas mining companies, which pisses everybody off even more. But
Right.
There's also people creating private dams on the rivers for themselves to harvest water for their own crops. And then all the farmers down the river have got nothing at all. It's not even a little trickle. So a few of those things. Also the fact that the government cut back a massive amount of funding for the fire departments to do their back burning. This is something that the Aborigines taught us a long time ago, is that most of the fire that travels fast goes along the ground with all the dead leaves that have fallen down and grasses, things that are super dry. If there's a drought, it will travel faster than you can run.
That's so scary.
So yeah, when you've got thousands of animals running ahead of the fire, they will often be overtaken, or people.
Yeah. So I also read
they didn't do any of that burning.
Yeah, that's the Green Party, the environmentalists. I read that they actually took people's privately owned land and labeled it as part of their, the national parks, and prevented people from burning. And there was a guy who did back burning around his property. He was charged $100,000 for burning without permission on his own property. But when the fire swept through, his was the only place that wasn't burned, because he had back burned, during the cooler weather and all of that.
Yeah. So that was in the northern New South Wales. Then they all started, like about 25 of them started down south. Those are the ones that are spreading. Though I'm looking at map. I'll put up an image of that right now, that you can see that it's spread to other places as well. But it's spreading so far that it cannot possibly be just high winds taking a flame or a fireball, a number of kilometres and then setting fire to another place further down. They've arrested, the police department have said they've arrested over 180 people. That already seems crazy. Can you imagine? Like, I understand that there'll be naughty kids, there'll be rebellious teenagers, there'll be ignorant tourists, there will be people who've dropped their cigarette. There'll be a bit of glass on the grass that will set things going. There's a few different reasons that bushfires start, but to have all of these people all light fires within a few days of each other just seems very, very suspicious. And I'm kind of wondering whether it's either voice of God stuff, people going, hey, wouldn't this be fun? Especially for teenagers who get stuck into the nanotechnology drinks, Coca-Cola and Mother and Red Bull and all those drinks that we've already been told has nanotechnology in it. And then to get this voice of God technology happening would be fairly simple if they're already using it, if they know it works.
Yeah.
If that's the case. This is just a theory at this stage, but it is a possibility indeed. And so, yeah, they're all spreading out everywhere. But there's also been Dana Murkic is somebody I interviewed once before. She does a look at the spirituality side of Australia and saying, well, this is the great, what is it, purge by fire? It will actually draw many, many people together who are going to stand against the government and go, everything you're doing is exact opposite of what we actually need. You need to be turfed out, like completely
Wow.
drop kicked out. We need to find a totally different way of working that's more common sense and practical and loving and supportive of our environment to look after it. So that's not really looking at the conspiracy side or the chemtrails dropping sparkler dust on us, which is another possibility. You know, those little sparklers, the stick.
Yeah.
That the ingredients dropped in chemtrails is believed to be the same stuff, which is why the California fires burnt so hot, ridiculously hot. And that's a theory for here as well as to why these fires are not behaving the way the firefighters are used to them behaving.
Wow. Well, I also want to look at eco-terrorism, you know, the Soros-backed organizations and what they're doing. I can tell you that when I released the video where we talked about the fires there before, and you were saying, you know, this map is inaccurate, it isn't every single inch of Australia, and we were questioning some of that, especially the climate change caused the fires point of view. And I can tell you, I got a huge negative response on my Twitter. And what it was, it came in through mostly people DMing me.
Yeah.
And it was violent. I mean, it was, you're old, you should shut up. Young people care about this stuff. And nasty names and fuck you. And, you know, go to hell, you're a bitch. And so is your friend. And if you believe her, you're stupid as she is. Da, 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 da. And don't listen to that. So that's one of those Trump followers. So I went and looked. I mean, it was like, whoa. Like 15 of them.
Wow.
Really?
Do you think they're paid trolls?
Well, when I went back and started looking at some of the people, the majority of them had right around 75 followers, 70 to 80. So I was thinking that, you know, if somebody is a troll or whatever, and they have multiple accounts, they all follow each other to try to make them look legitimate.
Exactly.
And then they have their canned responses. Right. And then more recently I saw just a picture of a young girl in a march against climate change, and she's sort of steps outside and is holding a sign, and it says, you're old, it doesn't matter to you, but think about the younger people. And I thought, oh, that's one of their things. That's why I got attacked for that. Oh, somebody else who said, you're an opioid addict. Get off Twitter.
Say what?
I mean, yeah. It's like, how did you know my secret? You know, it's like, but the response was really bizarre.
And especially if they were attacking you, right? Because we only got one nasty comment on two doubtful comments on the YouTube when we first put it up. And one, again, apologized almost immediately afterwards, and the other one didn't respond. So those are probably real people, you know, and one of them was a farmer who's terribly upset. He's under stress. He doesn't know what's going to happen with his farm. So that's completely understandable. But I'm telling you, some of these images, and it's not just the one that I showed you, there are other ones as well that make it look like the entire country is on fire. And people comparing it, they'll take the map of Australia and put it over the top of America, North America and Canada, and see how big this is, and they'll put like little flames all around the entire thing. That is such bollocks. It is all happening in the bottom right corner, right? The southeast corner of the country. That's where it's all happening. I'm thinking about that too. Yeah, the southeast. It's over several states. It's not just one state, and they're massive. They are massive fires, but it's not the country. That is rubbish. Right. And then we've just got our big Sydney festival about to start. That's like the biggest festival in Sydney, right? That happens all through January. Isabella Adjani, the French actress who's internationally known, was coming out to do a play called Opening Night, and they cancelled. They weren't going to come because they were worried about the air quality. Now, that's so ridiculous. That's not even checking the scientific facts. We're all sitting here in Sydney, and the air is clean today. You know, it seems their smoke blows in, and then it's gone by the afternoon. So, of course, the media take all their photos when it's bad, and then you assume that it's bad all the time, and it's not. It's just media hype. You have to be careful and see how much they're overemphasizing this crap.
Yeah. Well, you know, gets people all worked up. Donate now. Clinton if it's still her, on her Twitter said, climate change is real. We've got to take action now. Leap to where you can donate some money,
Donate to the Clinton Foundation.
Exactly. I also saw a bill for power from actually a Canadian small business. And the actual cost of the fuel that they got was about $300, but the carbon tax was $400.
Oh, there you go. That's a really good example of how much the tax is going to be. Oh, that's over 100%. That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm going to put a couple of different people that you can donate to in the bottom of our video here as well. They are straight direct to the people who actually need it, who are on the ground. The Rural Fire Service is one of them. Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, I think, will be another one. Though there's also wildlife rescue. You're sending it direct to the people that will use the money, and will not. I don't want you to send it to anybody.
Red Cross.
Yeah, don't send it to the Red Cross. Send it direct to the people who use it.
Good. So the keeping with the theme, the idea is that, these fires are bad. It's really sad that's happening. And they're killing camels now because they drink water and give off gas. Good God. But the idea is people are waking up. They're not falling for it. There's going to be a whole lot of people. This is the beginning of a red pill. Mm-hmm. And another red pill, of course, is the Golden Globes monologue by Ricky Gervais. What a hoot. I loved it. Oh, my God.
And he's still alive. It's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, he did the Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. He called them perverts and pedophiles. He just really called them out.
He did, and he was pointing at them, and you could see all their. But what was interesting was the camera angles was picking up all their sour faces as this went along. So you have to wonder who's directing it now.
Well, you've got to realize that he had a teleprompter. They knew his script.
Yeah.
And the cameras were pointing at the people he was going to call out.
Yeah.
So this wasn't just, oh, wow, he snuck it in and randomly did it.
No.
It was an approved thing. Yeah, it was amazing. Now, one of the things that I didn't notice, a lot of people I didn't think caught this, but he was saying, when you come up on stage, don't go into your politics stuff. You've gone less cool, less than Greta Thunberg. It's like, okay, that would be fun. But then he said, so just get up here, thank your director, your publicist, your God, and get off the stage. And he didn't say God, he said your God.
Yeah.
And, and that's kind of like, what? You can imagine people going, Don't tell them about that.
That's right.
A lot of people are speculating. The fact that Ricky said, we're all going to die and you don't get a sequel, right? It was like, we're all going to die? Are these people, are these some of these faces there because they know they've already been taken out, basically? You're going to go out here and you're going to perform and you do your role. And he also said, this is the last year. He kept saying over and over again, this is the last year. And he was like implying the last year that he will host it. Mm. But is it the last year there will be a Golden Globes?
Yeah.
Is the whole thing going to collapse?
Or is it going to be, like, we still have room for awards for very good filmmakers and actors, etc. I'm kind of wondering if it's the last year for all of those guys, that if they, because there was, this must have been some years ago, there was somebody who was a filmmaker who'd been asking, like, a psychic who answers questions online or something. And they said, look, if all of Hollywood is going down, I'll have no job. What'll I do with myself? This is the only thing I know what to do. I love to do it. And the answer that came back was, there'll be plenty of room for you now. You will get the opportunities that you never got before. So,
nice.
Oh, okay. So it might be, yes, there's a mass clean out, but it's not like nobody was never going to make a film again after that. It just means that all the people that have been blocked up to this point, there'll be space for them to get jobs and get funding.
So the looking at it again through that lens, we realize that more people watched his monologue than watched the award show. It dropped down another 15%, and literally everybody is watching Ricky and not the stupid award show.
Wow. Do they think it's just a joke? I wonder.
I think there probably are some people who just even thinking that it might be real is it starts too much cognitive dissonance, and they just have to back away from it. But there's going to be people who are ready to start waking up and realizing what's going on. That for them, I think they'll start to go.
Yeah. Plus the Q movement as well is continuing to grow. And so a lot of them will be going, oh my goodness, that is another proof that maybe all these Q drops are correct.
Yeah.
There was a guy who recently put up, I haven't forgotten his name, I didn't put it up on my screen, who said, oh, my internet security company's just told me that someone from my IP address has been downloading child porno. This is terrible. Has somebody QAnon'd me? And I thought, oh, that's brilliant. Brilliant advertising for QAnon. Thanks very much. And of course, everyone responding underneath is, no one's using your IP.
It's not a verb. Yeah. So another place where there is a real shift in what's going on, of course, is Iran.
Mm-hmm.
The media, of course, is screaming, it's going to go to war, it's horrible, he's not allowed to do this. When Soleimani was assassinated, now keep in mind, he was like, you could say like de facto second in command, but he was really blatantly bad guy. Everybody knows that there's a few people, Ilhan Omar, who was kind of like going, no, he was a good guy. I actually saw a picture of somebody holding up a sign of Soleimani and, protesting his murder. But there's a few people, but most people realize that he was a terrorist. And
he used to kill his own people. He used to torture and kill Iranians as well.
Yes. And I think that Trump's speech that he gave, and he was obviously exhausted, he flubbed a couple words and stuff, but he's calling out the previous administration for giving 150 billion, billion with a B, to Iran, plus that what was it, 1.57 billion in cash, unmarked bills, but it was like,
did he actually say that? He said the number. So that's actually show that, and more people have sort of come to the conclusion on that so that was basically the previous administration giving them money to pay for missiles to shoot at the US.
He said it directly. He said those missiles were paid for by money the previous administration gave. Wow. And the left side, of course, says, no, we didn't give them that money. That was their money that we were holding on to. We just gave it back.
US dollars.
Yeah, that's kind of weak.
About as funny as an IP address downloading child porn, right?
Yeah. So, and then there's this huge fear coming up.
That's great what's too, happen now? Right? Yeah, because then they obviously set this whole thing up so that all the media will go, war, it's going to be war. And everyone goes, oh, no! And then there's no war. And Iran goes, no, we're not going to do any more. And then Trump goes, no, we're not going to do any more. Just to show them up. It's another fantastic way to show the people that don't know what's going on. Hang on a minute now. Hang on. This is, what were you guys talking about? Once again, you've thrown in a storyline that's not true. So we can't trust you. So it's a brilliant way of breaking down the trust by having all these things go along underneath. Same with North Korea. War, it's going to be war. No, actually, no, he went over there.
Now, I know somebody who lives in Japan, and he told me that there were fairly regularly missiles going over where he lived, and they're just not happening anymore. So it's like real news. Somebody who lives there, like real news for you who lives in Australia. So the other part of that, of course, is that when Trump said that nobody was killed, no Americans, no Iraqis, when Iran attacked these various military bases, Iraqi bases with Americans there, because you had excellent pre-warning and we got everybody out of there. How possible is it that probably a CIA deep state guy made an agreement that it's time for him to go? Iran doesn't want to do it anymore. They, of course, have to scream and blow things up and save face. But with him gone, that they work behind the scenes to agree to do this. And if the White Hats, the Alliance, whatever you want to call them, do have the Project Looking Glass, then they could look forward and see how these outcomes of various tactics would play out. But they keep, the QAnon keeps saying, future proves past, and they keep having things
being absolutely spot on, right? So the post number,
exactly,
or the date that they send it, all these things match up 1 year, 2 years later. So they call them 1 year delta, 2 year delta. And then you look back. So all those beginning posts that we all sat there going, wow, this is so exciting. I have no idea what that's about. That as you get further down the track and like 2 years down the track, 3 years down the track, and you go, oh, it's happening right now. And it's exactly the same date or the time that they put on a post. Now they're starting to make sense. So that's quite fun. It's like a big puzzle being sorted out, isn't it?
It's kind of fun. So here's another speculation. You've got missiles going back and forth in Iran, but a group of people, mostly Canadians and Ukrainians, I think, decide they need to get on a plane just a few hours later and go through this zone, and they're shot down. They're now, Iran is saying, no, it was an accident, but everybody knows they were shot down by Iran. What if these were deep state players who were so desperate to get out of there that they took that chance?
I think so too. But was that a no-fly zone? Is that what you're saying?
Well, Tehran is, they were heading to Ukraine, to Kiev, which is like a hub to go other places. People weren't flying there. I saw maps of people flying from, I can't remember where, to France and going all the way around and like that instead of going straight
avoiding
over.
That space. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
as quick as possible, really. Yeah, unless it was on autopilot or something, that then maybe they can control planes like that one, the flight the 370 that disappeared. They can control it and move it somewhere else where if the pilot has been knocked out or shot, or you can actually take control of the plane remotely and take it to where you want it to go. So was that maybe they had this all set up and this is speculation as well, of course, that you're right, that as soon as they figured out that they no longer had control of Iran, they knew they all had to clear out of there as quick as possible. Doesn't mean that everybody on the plane was one of them. So there may have been a few lost souls along the way there, which does happen at times. Just like the souls here in Australia on the bushfires that we've lost. Amazing, we've lost millions of hectares of land, but only 22 deaths, I think it is. Wow. Extraordinary management, considering how wild this crazy fire is. But with the plane going to Ukraine, it also shows you that if Ukraine is a center for these people, if they're the nasties that have been working in Iran, that the first place they go is Ukraine. That tells you a lot about what used to be going on with Ukraine that is no longer happening. So was it a quick way to wipe them all out? Maybe. I did read that the Uranium One money originally went to Ukraine, but didn't stay there. It went to Iran. I see.
And Iran has all these proxy players. I really do believe, from what I've been reading recently, and I don't have a big history of understanding this stuff, but so I won't say I'm exactly on, but that was a real hub for the deep state terrorist machine, and that they do have proxy other countries playing their parts as well. So people are going, wait a minute, the mainstream media said Trump was going to start a war. He didn't. He backed down. He said, okay, you blew up these bases. No, as long as no American lives are lost, right? And that's what he did before when they shot down, a drone? Mm. And the media's like, he's going to go crazy. He's going to start a war. And he's like, no, back down. No human lives were lost. It's not worth it.
Yeah. So that should bring a few more people around to the idea that this dreadful, nasty orange man, so arrogant and so war-hungry, is not war-hungry at all. He's been around the world to different leaders. He shook all their hands in public. He's made peace with everybody that the media said he would make war with. And this is yet another one. So even when the US base is being threatened, it should show a lot more people what kind of person he is, or what the plan is anyway. Because it's not all up to him, of course. He is part of a team.
Yeah. So this is a very volatile year. A lot of things are going to change. I don't believe there's going to be a war. I don't think that's the timeline pathway we're on. So, let that one go. People don't hold that fear. And whenever you see these things going on, question what's the narrative, what could be right, what could be something that I don't see that's underneath, that's a positive outcome. Because I really do believe that, by the end of this year, when we have the planets Saturn and Jupiter moving out of Capricorn into Aquarius, the dawning of the age of Aquarius, that 2021 is going to be, maybe a little ways into it, but 2021 is going to be looking back and going, wow, I can't wait to tell my grandchildren about this year. This is going to be amazing. Everything's different.
So pay attention, I think, isn't it? Keep yourself grounded, pay attention. There's also been a lot of photographs coming out of where the fire has swept through here in Australia, that buds are coming up, the grass is coming up. There's something about the Australian landscape that is well used to big bushfires blowing through, and then it rejuvenates really, really fast. It's a very violent way of living, and there's a lot of wildlife that gets lost along the way, but it rejuvenates super quick. That being said, of course, yes, there are fires, but there's also a lot of places that are still in drought. So if you can spend any time at all looking at videos of rain, thinking of rain, focusing on giving rain to a lot of these eastern states, I beg your pardon, all around Australia, that would be very, very helpful, because your mind is powerful. And what you focus on is what you give your energy to. I've always remembered that. It's so important that whatever you give your energy to becomes stronger. So if all you ever do is look at fires and talk about fires and be horrified by fires, you add your energy to it. Whereas if you focus on rain, right? Keep focused on it. It does make a difference, because there are lots and lots of people around the world that are focusing on that right now. You can add to that.
It's true. It's true. All righty.
Okay.
Well, that's all for today. See you later.
And bye.
Bye.